So I'm gonna look towards my degree in biology and chemistry and try and find something that feels like I'm kind of helping. I always like helping people, so like I love helping people one-on-one with my current jobs, but I want to start using my science background to see if I can help people on like a larger scale. Yeah, just because our generation is having such a struggle with substances at this time doesn't mean that it can't be turned into something really good, because struggles with substances happen at all ages, and having a whole generation like get through this kind of like access to all this, and like the music and the media kind of like convincing us.
Go ahead and introduce yourself and tell me why you're here.
Hey guys, my name is Jack. I'm here at Synergy Empowering Recovery, located in Beverly Hills. Just got done a treatment at Cliffside, Malibu, and here in the PHP program. So far I have nothing but good things to say. It's just a really well-run program with a small group size, so there's a lot of opportunity to talk and process and hear other people's story, and it's just in stark contrast to some of the other programs I've done where there was barely any time to really talk about what you're going through. And it's just a more comfortable setting. And the people here, both the people that are enrolled in the program and the staff, is just really passionate about what they're doing. And everyone's glad to be here, which is pretty crucial for me. It can affect me a lot when there's people forced to be in the program, or there's just no time to talk about what you're going through. It's just like, well, why am I even here? So kind of the opposite of that here.
Where's home for you? Where did you come from?
I came from Seattle. I was only living there for about a year before coming here. I lived in LA before, and I found that with the sunshine and just the general pace, I had a better time making new friends, an easier time. And I just enjoyed going to work every day a lot more. And
What do you do for work?
I'm a personal trainer and a massage therapist. I'm looking to shift away from too much physical labor. I still love my job, but I found that working too much physically was a trigger for me, because I deal with chronic pain, and a certain amount of those jobs per week makes me feel better, and then there's a certain amount that makes me feel like I have to cope with more painkillers and stimulants, and I'd rather live a life that's not like full of ups and downs like that. So I'm gonna look towards my degree in biology and chemistry and try and find something that feels like I'm kind of helping. I always like helping people, so like I love helping people one-on-one with my current jobs, but I want to start using my science background to see if I can help people on like a larger scale. And that takes a little bit of sacrifice with regards to pay in the beginning. I'll definitely have to like settle for less pay than I get per hour now, but building my resume in that field, that type of field, is more limitless really. Like at the current state of things, I'm like capped out making only as much money as I can to take care of myself, not like a family or anything like that. So eventually I'll be working towards something much more sustainable for my body and much more like full of like passion.
Or more balanced, right?
Yeah, more able to take care of myself and not have to take care of other people's bodies all the time.
Yeah.
And yeah.
You could start helping take care of their soul.
Yeah.
No, but I think that you are really good at I mean, you articulate yourself well, and it's easy to understand what where you're coming from when you're sharing, and so I think that would be really beneficial to people who are new in recovery. Or is that what you're talking about, like maybe incorporating like your science background and what you do now with helping people in recovery as well, or just in general helping?
I've always through training and massage and being kind of a health coach in general, like known that there's like root causes when it comes to toxins in our food and our water, and then just the general design of the country in general, the way that we rely on inefficient forms of labor to get things done. And we're stuck in our cars and at desks a little bit too much, and I think like fixing things like the structure of schooling for little kids, and getting some of these toxins out of our food, our cosmetics, and our water would make a big difference in addiction in general. I wouldn't cure it, but it would make a big difference. And And I, sometimes wonder when I go through and make a plan for somebody with their diet and their nutrition, their supplementation, and their workout and their lifestyle at work and at home, like, are they sitting properly? Do they have any kind of equipment to like fix their posture? A lot of these like addictions to stimulants, painkillers, and whatnot, what have you, seem like antidotes. Once you like break down everything that's going into a person's body, it's like it's antidotes for the environment and for things that are going in there, and they're not perfect antidotes. That's why people end up in recovery, because it's like it helps for a while until it doesn't.
You're talking about like prescribed medications and things
as
like
well,
that?
well as just illegal ones when the prescribed ones don't work, or they think the illegal one works better. But it's like, we've got stuff. I mean, the last few things on the list at every food in a gas station contain something proven to cause neurological type issues. It could be ADHD, it could be like spasticity, it could be like high blood pressure. And these things we know already from research over the past couple of decades that it's bad, but it still hasn't been banned like it is in the European Union. And those things, I mean, it all adds up. And when we're like a toxic soup, and our food is designed to be addictive in a way that, like, I mean,
our healthcare, our food. I think that is such a good point. It's such an important point that doesn't get talked about very much in recovery. It's mind, body, and soul. Just a little bit of movement in your day, like, changes your whole recovery program. I'm telling you. And that's why I like to incorporate a walk in with my groups when I can. And like you're saying, the stuff that we eat and the medication that they prescribe I mean, daily, basically, to the majority of the people in America, more do take medication than not, I think. And it all adds to, like, like, it makes us preconditioned to set ourselves up for having some kind of difficulties,
Yeah, and I think there's like a stigma when it comes to asking for help in our culture. And like, when someone finds a medication or an illegal drug that kind of quells the symptoms and makes them feel like they don't have to ask for help for a while, especially in the beginning, before, like, a lot of these drugs, they deplete you over time. So like the period in which the person taking them becomes addictive, there aren't that many side effects yet, and they fall in love with this substance as like their little helper. And then their brain is already wired to like love the substance when the side effects kick in, and you can be in denial, like, there wasn't side effects in the beginning, like, why would there be now? But some of them make you urinate out all of your minerals. Some of them deplete neurotransmitters, which we have large stores of in the beginning, and then we don't later. And unfortunately, once your body's going downhill, it's harder for your brain to understand, like,
it wants that pleasure signal.
It's harder to understand something that might take work to learn, like new coping skills or like a new plan of action. That all takes work, and in the beginning we like chose to use something that's really just an on-off button for pleasure or comfort, and it's just literally like, boom, take that, good. Like, there's no thought that goes into it, whereas and then your other option is starting from probably a worse state in recovery than whatever we were experiencing to originally take the drug, and then slowly working towards something better.
And it's like discomfort first.
That takes guts to do, and I see people like lots of times. I had several friends die in the last couple of years from fentanyl overdoses, so I have lots and lots of friends and friends of friends who have quit and white knuckled it with no therapy. And because they're obviously like smart enough to say, well, I don't want to die, but they didn't even consider therapy. Like, this is scary enough that I just want to quit. But I can really tell the difference after going through treatment, like in the like emotional growth and like just new conceptions of like myself, and understanding that, like, yes, I have ADHD, but like, and I have PTSD, but like some of these things can be worked through, and I don't need to like live my life with rose-colored glasses all the time, artificially induced by a substance at the cost of feeling like crap when it's not working.
Right.
It's like, it's
you don't
just
have to be dependent on that. On that outside.
There is a way.
It's an inside job, is what it is.
Yeah, it's just definitely about like letting go of the instant gratification and embracing the process. Like, all of us learn to walk and talk like over a period of years. And so this is like a whole new way of thinking and being for a lot of us who grew up with the internet and had like really crazy access to substances and so much access about information about substances.
Mm-hmm.
I think my generation is one of the first that had this much access, and was also less scared to like research and like, you know, like you couldn't probably 40 years ago go to the library and read experience reports about
No.
drugs and then go to another website and just click order with your
Right.
with your weekly allowance, like paying for.
And it
just
wasn't being
substances.
like fed on TikTok, TikTok,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like advertise, glorifying it, glamorizing it, and all this kind of stuff as well. And I mean, prescribed daily just through, legal prescriptions, if you're in pain, like you were saying, it's like, I do have empathy for your generation because they're so easily accessible
Yeah.
and so readily available and used by your peers like a lot. Everybody's doing it basically.
I mean, these days in high school, my high school was pretty crazy, but I think the other ones in Seattle public schools were even crazier, and with the drugs and it was
Mhm.
like, like the drama kids and the band kids, they had a lot to do to stay busy. The AP kids that did it after school, they had a lot to do, and they were like the nerds to the rest of us that didn't have as much to do. Maybe we got injured in our sport, maybe we got bullied and or didn't feel like sufficient at an activity after school, and it was more fun to like go to kegs or like go smoke weed under a bridge. And like that made us feel like we were doing something.
And a
By
part
the
of
end-
something.
But by senior
right?
year, the other kids were like, "Well, we want to do that too." So it was like everybody by the end of it.
Yeah.
And in college, I mean, I got made fun of all the time for not drinking anymore. But by the time I was 18, I had drank so much I was pretty much over it. And by the time I was 20, I quit. And it was like I watched everyone fight. I got beat up myself while I was drunk and said something stupid, and drunk people were like, "You're stupid." And I mean, I don't really know of any major fights I saw that weren't alcohol induced. So I was like, well, why don't we just do other drugs? That was my next
I was going to
thing.
say, that was going to
And
be my
then-
question. How you transitioned to another
Yeah,
substance?
I
at
was
that point?
always looking for one since I started drinking. I was like,
Yeah.
all right, I was like trying to make a PowerPoint presentation basically for alcoholics. Like, all right, so like you guys have tried like all these drugs, like these combinations do this
Yeah.
and these combinations do this. Like you should definitely do this instead of drinking. And it caught on to some people and it didn't to others. But I mean,
And see, they
It's
literally people do that. You know what I mean? Like you guys have access, or like you were saying, like there's access to people saying like, that doesn't work good. Try this, And unfortunately, there's the fentanyl part that's so scary.
Yeah.
That wasn't a piece to have to worry about when I was in high school. Thank God, because I don't think I would be alive. But
yeah, I mean, yeah. After one of my honestly closest friends I've had in a long time died last year,
from fentanyl.
Yeah, and she didn't even do cocaine in general, but her Adderall prescription was no longer available from the pharmacy that month. And a lot of depressing stuff had happened to her, so she fell into a depression. She wasn't cleaning her place. Her roommates had moved out, and she was like desperate to get some kind of stimulant to like do the work, and she picked up her first gram of cocaine in who knows how long, so long. And she ended up suffocating in her closet while cleaning her closet, and she was texting people about like how that she didn't think it was good while she did it, and she died having done barely any of the bag. So it was just like eye-opening to me.
What do you mean suffocating or something? What do you mean?
She like the fentanyl made her stop breathing.
Oh.
Yeah. So
Wow.
yeah, it's just, I mean, for me it was like, oh my God, like because she was like my sobriety accountability buddy. Like we had both been going through it before COVID even started and being like, we need to do better. And then I think she kind of underplayed her struggles because she wanted to inspire me more than anything. But I feel like, I already felt before she passed that she was one of the major reasons I made it through the pandemic without something bad happening to me. And she motivated me to get into treatment, and she talked to me all the time through the whole thing, and it's just I didn't feel the same. I wouldn't be able to a year ago when this happened and months after, I wouldn't be able to just talk about this without just bawling. And I felt like my heart sank, and I don't even feel like my body even feels the same. And most of the time when we hung out, like it was for a short time, and then we just ended up being friends over the phone. But it's just yeah, I was like, I can't, like, she tested her drugs too, like, and she probably tested this and it didn't show up. And, like, to properly test for fentanyl, you have to, like, dilute it properly and maybe do, like, a triple dilution, maybe waste half your drugs to, like, even test it properly.
Yeah, but
Because when there's really high quantities of the drug that they purchased in it, it can block the
understand.
test. So pure MDMA, pure cocaine with a little bit of fentanyl might not show up as having fentanyl because you have to dilute it enough so that the drug
Okay,
itself.
so we don't want to teach the viewers about how to do all that stuff so much. It's like
I was just trying
like,
to say, like, it's so dangerous to even successfully
Yes.
test for it. You need to be scared of it. And I
I agree. Like, it's in everything. Like, from what I hear, because I have a daughter who's 21, you know, and I worry so much about, you know, she's not into, supposedly she's not into those drugs, but she's preconditioned to be, you know, because, well, did your parents have any kind of addiction issues?
Yeah, they did. My mom not so much, but my dad and many other men on that side of the family had quite heavy addiction issues, and and I don't think it was ever like fully addressed. Like, you know, quit one thing, always cold turkey, don't need therapy. When I seemed to want and seek therapy, they were like, well,
Like family therapy, you mean?
like treatment for drugs and
just
PTSD and stuff.
okay,
They're like, well, like, PTSD, that's life. Bad shit happened to me too. And I'm like, but it's affected me. Like,
right.
I want to, like, be better at dealing and coping with it. And I want to, like, not, I mean, I started doing my first drugs when I was 7 years old. And,
That's
like,
what you were saying.
you know, I'm 32 now. And it's like, I haven't gotten a grip on what being sober and productive in life is really like without a crutch all the time. And I was always looking for a better crutch. And it's just like, okay, like,
well, I mean, and it makes sense, you know, like my dad was the same, my dad was like a very successful cardiologist, and the first time I went to treatment, you know, and they had family group, you know, he was like, I don't, you know, that's psychobabble, don't come at me with that psychobabble stuff, you know, get over it, quit your sniveling, you know, and I think there's just something about like them feeling the guilt, I think, maybe their own guilt that didn't want to like admit.
Yeah, I think
had anything to do with
I think most parents envision like a life better than their own for their kid.
Yeah.
And when the timing is different, like, you know, my parents and their relatives all pretty much got kicked out of the house when they were 18. Like, you're on your own.
Oh, really?
Not a lot of money given to them pretty much at all. And you know, and then we're in our early 30s or late 20s and just like struggling to pay for everything. And don't have our shit together, equally addicted to things as they were.
Yeah.
But they just like see it differently because, you know, it's been more expensive. And I think to an extent my generation realizes that there is help available.
Yes.
We want to prevent, I think a lot of us want to prevent some of the things that have happened to them, watching them get older. We don't want to, you know, age in a way that like we harm our bodies for our income as much.
Right.
And
you want to work smarter, not harder.
Or
more efficiently.
Yeah. Or maybe it's working harder to do it sustainably. I don't really know. But it's disappointing to them to see like where we're at. A lot of us, and they feel like a failure more than they're actually angry.
I think so too.
And I don't think they are though, because it's just I believe that people like live life on have very similar experiences over their lifetime. They just come in a different order. So whenever something's hard for me, I know like that's hard right now, but other people might have a good time around me, and I could like try and say, oh, woe is me, like, you know, this is a really bad time and everyone's doing so well, but like other people will have trials and tribulations at a different time, and I might be there to help. So it's not like
perspective is everything, you know.
Yeah, just because our generation is having such a struggle with substances at this time doesn't mean that it can't be turned into something really good, because struggles with substances happen at all ages, and having a whole generation like get through this kind of like access to all this, and like the music and the media kind of like convincing us. I mean, how many beautiful skin actors with beautiful skin like are smoking cigarettes on the screen right now? I went to a lot of movies in the last couple months, and I was like, there isn't one where the like hottest actors and actresses don't smoke a cigarette.
I do know though that like this generation has been through a lot of shit, you know, COVID, like stuff that, I mean, it is unprecedented, some of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so it's a very resilient, I mean, I think that this is a very strong generation, a very intelligent generation. And we all have stuff, like you said, it's the trauma that we have experienced sometimes isn't even our own trauma. It's passed down through generations,
absolutely.
you know? And our parents did the best they could with what they had to work with at the time, I think, and they weren't woke like the rest of this generation, you know? Seriously, they didn't have the information that you guys have. And so, like, it's what you do with that information that is important, and I think you're doing the right thing right now. And I think you have so much to offer with what you're saying about, like, incorporating, you know, the diet and the exercise and all of that. It all plays a part, you know?
Yeah, by being able to, like, start contributing when it comes to, like, revolutionizing our food and just general products we're exposed to, I think that will lead to a clearer picture of the other things that need to be changed too, because if we don't get those, like, simple things that are disrupting our chemistry, like, we already know staring at our phones for hours a day is bad for, you know, just general psychological outcomes. And that's just something people have to decide to do on their own. I mean, phones are damn useful. So it's but more is not always better with information, just like pounding your head all the time. I mean, old times we didn't hear bad news about communities more than a few miles away. Now we're hearing it from the entire world all the time if we want to. And I don't know if we're built for that.
Right, that's the thing. And so it's like, and so, you know, I feel like it can be very overwhelming if we all just do, you know, what little bit we can do to make our contribution, right? Instead of taking from society, contributing to it in a positive way. You know, if everybody did that, then the world would be a much better place. But, you know, we're powerless over the rest of the people, but hopefully our influence, our positive influence can have some kind of power and attraction rather than promotion, you know. So if we all do our bit, which is what you're doing right now, you know.
Absolutely, trying to water my own lawn right now.
Yep, and hopefully people like the Joneses will be like, oh, your hair grass looks really nice. I think I'm going to try that. Or you were doing, you know what I mean? Like, that's the part. It's just like leading by example, being the best examples that we can be.
It really is contagious when you get in enough spaces in adult life where there's like 2, 3, 10 people in there, and you go to see the same people every day for a while, and you kind of taking notes of how you're acting and how it affects other people. I mean, one person can really shift the conversation to really positive or really negative. So
true.
It happens on a like grand scale with your behavior all the time.
Absolutely.
Like if you made your whole house of like 3 to 8 people like super happy that day, they're all gonna go out of the door and be happier, and that's gonna have a ripple effect. And the more that people understand that, like, it can make a big difference.
Totally, it's like such a small little thing, but it's like positivity breeds positivity, and the same is, you know, true for the opposite. And so, you know, just like waking up and like making consciously being grateful for, you know, that's what I'm saying about perspective is everything, right? Because like there's lots of stuff to be upset about and frustrated about and scared about, but there's also on the other side of that a lot of things that we have to be grateful for. So focusing on that stuff is a huge part of being successful in recovery, I think, you know, and helping the next person be.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things I learned here is that too much change to a broken system at once is not really sustainable for most people. Depends on your personality, but the vast majority of us, you try to change everything for this like whole life glow up, and people like get really burnt out after a couple of weeks of trying to do all those changes at once and doing things slowly and steadily. Like one thing for me was like a therapist told me that I should write down like a list of like the negative things that I think about throughout the day, and then the next day sit down for like 30 minutes to an hour at a time that I think it won't like affect how I operate for a few hours. So for me that was more like 1 to 4 p.m. because I don't want to do it right before bed, and I don't want to do it to start my day. But I would write that, take what I had written down and just think about it, think about solutions, allow myself to get upset for a moment, and like doing that regularly at a specific time helped me a lot with like the rumination throughout the day and the stress. And it might not work for everyone.
Took
but
the power out of it, kind of, you know, just
yeah,
like
but it made
addressed
it more efficient. Like,
Okay.
and then like when the alarm goes off an hour later, I'm like, okay,
It's
I'm
done.
gonna go on a walk now.
Yeah.
Walk that off. I'm gonna eat a snack, and then I'm getting on with my day. Let's
That's
go
the
positive
thing.
again.
Use your coping skills. Yeah,
Yeah.
there are ways to get through those moments for sure. You know, we don't have to live in the darkness and the negativity. And,
Mhm.
I mean, but it's also good to be able to visit it, like you're saying, to address it, and then say thanks for sharing and move on. It doesn't have to be
Yeah.
our whole world, right?
Yeah, and it really helped me sleep. Like because
Yeah.
I would tend to put it off all day, and then it was like coming to me by force. Like I really have
Yeah.
to think about this now. I'm like trying to like make my bed and take a shower, and I'm like stressed out while I'm doing these things that should be calming and like yeah.
Yeah. So that's the whole point of like, you know, I mean, I think that that's basically the whole, you know, foundation of Synergy is like helping teach people to live life on life's terms, you know, just face it and get through it. Right?
Yeah.
And then and realize that, hey, I'm still here, I'm still alive, and life is good, you know. The general consensus of my life is good. There's a lot of things to be grateful for.
Anyone that's watching this and thinking about starting recovery or already has been in it and been disappointed, it took me 5 treatment centers to find the one that I went to that led me here. And that place, I was so lucky to find it. But when you work hard enough and talk to your insurance enough, you can get a nicer place covered.
Well, where did you come from? Which place?
Cliffside.
Oh yeah,
in
of course.
Malibu.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
Cliffside
it
is
was
wonderful.
fantastic. They worked with my chronic pain issues, especially in withdrawal,
Okay.
and just for me personally, it was so important to find a place where I could talk, because like some of the places I had gone to before, it's like 20 people in a room all the time, in some stiff chairs. You barely get a time to talk, and if your drug addiction or your trauma or eating disorder or whatever is so like runs so deep, it's easy to be like, you know, this is bullshit. I'm going here for my parents. I'm going here to prove that I can stop. I'm not going here for me, because I don't even get a chance to talk. And here at Synergy and there at Cliffside, I have a chance to talk all the time. I get to really hear what everyone else is saying, and I don't feel alone. They make it comfortable for me to sit in class, and like I don't feel like, oh my god, drugs would be great right now to get through group.
So that's good. It's not your first thought as it normally would be. That's fantastic.
Long story short, just don't stop trying, because I thought it was all bullshit in the beginning, and now I don't.
Yay! I'm so happy to hear that. That's so good.
Yeah.
I mean, your whole demeanor has really changed a lot since the first time I met you.
I'm starting to get some better
much
rest
more
now
comfortable.
that,
Yeah.
yeah. And yeah, no, I mean, expect when you're going to treatment, like, depending what you're going for, like, your sleep might be junk for a month. It might even be junk for, like, 6 months compared to what you would hope it would be if you were taking a bunch of sedatives to sleep. So, do expect that kind of thing, and then know that every week it's going to get a little bit better.
This too shall pass, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks for sharing your story so much.